Hey there, thank you for joining me, Stanley, on the Saturday. Um, this is another one of those kind of two-part ones that I don't know if these are going to become a whole lot more common or if I'm going to decide I don't like doing something where I kind of begin talking about it on Wednesday and then finish it up on Saturday. But we'll see how this goes. But on Wednesday, I mentioned Ravi Zacharias passed away recently. We've been hearing tributes to Ravi Zacharias over the past week and a half or so. Just the other day, they did a live stream memorial service for Ravi Zacharias. And on Wednesday, I brought up a quote of his about what his words were going to be when he made it to heaven. Well, today, I wanted to look at another thing that, to me, sets Ravi Zacharias aside as an apologist. When you really look at Ravi Zacharias compared to a number of Christian thinkers and debaters today, there is one thing I've seen in Ravi Zacharias that kind of sets him apart. And like most debaters, Ravi Zacharias will use a tool where he will just shred someone's opinion and view. I mean, you'll see a lot of this with the likes of Ben Shapiro, who's a conservative who uses this. There are plenty of liberals who do the same thing where they will begin talking about something and then just point out how ridiculous and incoherent it is. And you'll see news hosts starting to do it. You've seen people do it to Donald Trump. There are a lot of conservatives who seem to more make their name doing this kind of thing where they will point this out. It became, I think it first really sparked off with the likes of Jon Stewart and Stephen Colbert on Comedy Central. They did news satire shows, The Daily Show and the Colbert Report. And, they would, have someone state what's going on, and then they would play a clip of that person saying the exact opposite, maybe a month ago, a year ago, the previous president, but just showing how blatantly ridiculous the statement was. But it's become very common to do this, and it makes for a nice little YouTube clip where you have someone making a statement and then you just riddle it with holes until there's nothing left. Ravi Zacharias was not afraid of going into that kind of thing, but he did it with hesitation. Ravi Zacharias, he would, the times where this came up most often with Ravi Zacharias was when people would say that, life is in existence, it's all meaningless, that everything is meaningless. Or when they would talk about, everything being relative. And Ravi Zacharias, the way that he would go about it was he would repeatedly say, well, you don't really think that. You don't actually mean that. You're not really thinking that that's true. You don't believe that that's true. And they would insist, yes, I do, yes, I do, yes, I do. And then he would say, no, you don't. I can prove it to you. And then he would go about doing it. Well, you said that, everything's relative. Well, is your statement relative? If your statement's relative, then not everything's relative. But if your statement is absolute, then not everything can be relative because then your statement can't be relative. Or, you made the statement that everything's meaningless, but don't you think that that statement has meaning? That statement actually means something? So you don't think that everything is meaningless. And it's kind of the quick, oh my goodness, you just said that. Oh, I can't believe it. Whoa, you just brutally destroyed them. But Ravi Zacharias was always hesitant doing it. And he would apologize, being like, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to offend you. I'm sorry I had to say this. In interviews that he gave where people would bring that up and be like, yeah, I'm so sorry that I had to do that. I really didn't want to go into that kind of thing. I think most of us think that, man, if I could do that kind of thing in a debate, I'd win the person over. I'd win everyone else over. They'd be like, oh man, look, that view is so terrible. Look at how awesome our opinions are. And oh my goodness, yeah, that's right, or man, that's so wrong. But there is a big problem with thinking that that kind of thing actually wins a debate. Because in a debate, you are not only debating thoughts, but you're trying to win over the hearts and the minds of people. And if I am trying to convince you that something's true, I can bring up all of the facts and I can lay out all of the proper thoughts in front of you. But if I lay all of them out there and then at one point I just blatantly offend you, I just say something that makes you so offended and hurt and upset that you can't deal with it. Are you going to come over to my side and agree with me? No, what we're finding is that when we do something like that, people will irrationally ignore the facts because they are going to just say, yeah, but something in me says that what you're doing is not right. And so maybe you have all these arguments. Maybe I can't defeat your logic, but I cannot side with you on the issue. As Christians, we are supposed to be telling the truth in love. We're supposed to share the truth in love. And if we're sharing the truth in love, that kind of gotcha moment has to be a tool of last resort. It has to be the thing that you end up doing only because you can't avoid going to that point. Because unless you go to that point, you can't share the truth at all. And so you enter that as lovingly and as kindly as you can. But you don't use that kind of gotcha argument just for the sake of using it. So many of us are getting into arguments and debates, and we couldn't care less about the other person. We want our voice to be heard. And that's the only thing that we care about. But as Christians, that cannot be the only thing we care about. Because that's not the way that God spread the truth about God's self to us. God didn't spread the truth about God's self to us by laying out the rational arguments for us. God didn't give the truth about God's self to us just by, giving us a document saying, here are the truths you need to believe in. God revealed the truth about God's self to us by loving us, entering into relationship with us, showing us through love and care the truth about who God is, and loving us so much that God became one of us in Jesus to die for us so that we could learn who God really is. As Christians, that gotcha thing should be the furthest from our mind. And if it happens, it's something that we guard ourselves against, saying like, no, I don't want you to feel offended by this. It's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to help you see that what you're saying just doesn't make any sense. And I want you to see that like you're not really following that, and that I have something that you can make sense of that can help you as you're trying to figure out what truth is that actually points you more in that direction. When you use those quick, easy gotcha things that the likes of Ben Shapiro use, that several Christian debaters will use, that they'll just kind of flaunt them out there, that the mainstream media have been using more and more, those gotcha arguments do not help show the love of God. And I think Ravi Zacharias gives us a great example of, yeah, sure, he used them every once in a while. He would say, listen, you don't mean what you said. You don't mean what you said, because if you meant what you said, then you have to disagree with what you've just said. And he would use those, but very sparingly. Only when he didn't really have another choice. Only when the best way, the clearest way to get his point across was to do that. And when he used those kinds of arguments, he always did so in a way that allowed him to soften it and to point them away from however hurt they might feel toward the truth that he was trying to get out there. So if you're thinking of all these kinds of arguments and you're the kind of person who's wanting to get a better understanding of the Christian faith and you want to try to share it with other people, please take this lesson from Ravi Zacharias. Don't try to trap the people you're talking to in a way where you can quickly, yeah, I got it. Yeah, I got you. That's going up on YouTube. People are going to laugh at you. Because if that's what you're going to try to do with the argument, you will not be able to win over people's hearts. And God didn't just come to trick people's minds. God made us heart and mind and soul, because all of it works together to move us toward God. And if you lose someone's heart, you have lost the battle. Ravi Zacharias knew this. He cared very deeply about the hearts of his audience as well as their minds. So let's heed Ravi's example. And let's love God and others, yes, with our hearts. Yes, with our minds, but also with our hearts. Let's love them entirely as God loves us entirely. Thank you for joining me. God bless you. Bye.